to our debate. And the editor of a local newspaper in Kashmir, Rising Kashmir, Shujaat Bukhari, has been shot dead in the press colony of Srinagar. Now, the veteran journalist was earlier with The Hindu and NDTV. He did his Masters of Journalism from Manila University. He was a fellow of the Asian Center of Journalism in Singapore and a recipient of the World Press Institute USA Fellowship. Now, Mr. Bukhari was also, along with being bureau chief of The Hindu, he had survived 3 assassination attempts on his life. This one, unfortunately, he did not survive. I want to bring you this story and spend as much time on it as I can, viewers, today, because you must realize that given the statistics and the number of journalists who've been killed in the last 1 year, this has been the worst year for journalists in India ever. The shocking stories of journalists being shot at need to constantly and chillingly remind us that this is not an easy profession, that telling the truth is not something we can take for granted anymore. And while it's very easy to use terms like anti-national and prostitutes when describing a journalist, you must realize that journalists are putting their lives at risk every day. That the job of telling the truth in our country today is a life-threatening job. And for people who continue to do it day after day, are making active choices to put their lives at risk. Shujaat Bukhari has now been stolen from us. Rahul Pandita is an author and a journalist who joins us right now. Mr. Pandita, thank you for joining us. This is obviously disturbing information for all journalists across the country, but you knew the journalist in question here. What could you tell us about the kind of work he was doing at Rising Kashmir?
It's a very, very sad day. I was just returning home from office when I received a call from Kashmir telling me about this attack. I have no words, Faye, really. I have known Shujaat for several years. We have agreed on so many things. We have had some disagreements in the last few years. But I never thought that, I will pick up my phone one day and I'll receive this really sad news. And he has just been shot outside his office in Present Day, which is where we hang around all the time when we are in Srinagar. And I was just watching a few visuals which I've received on my phone just a few minutes back. And the car where, the place where his car was parked, there's a tea stall right out behind that parking. And we hang around all the time. We had tea, we meet friends. It is at this tea stall I have met Shujaat so many times.
Yes.
Over tea and biscuits. And it's very, very sad and it's very, very shocking what has happened. I don't know what has prompted this killing, but I hope that the government and the security personnel in Kashmir take immediate action in this case, and we should know what has happened and who are the people behind this killing. I also want to pray to the Almighty Lord to give peace and respite to his family, especially knowing that it's just one day before Eid, which he must have been looking up to. I mean, my voice is breaking. It's a dark, dark day. It has happened after a long time. In the 90s, we lost some of our colleagues in the early 2000s also. But this incident, this killing has happened after a long time. And I'm just remembering my conversations with Shujaat. And I'm just saying to myself that, brother, you didn't have to go like this.
Mr. Pandita, obviously this comes in less than a year after Gauri Lankesh was shot and killed in the city of Bangalore. there are some disturbing similarities to how that happened as well. Bike-borne assailants who shot at her point blank. But my question to you about, as a journalist yourself, do you believe we're living in an increasingly difficult, dangerous world for journalists?
I think it is, Faye. I mean, we have in Corey's case, we knew that she was under threat, and Shujaat was also had also been provided with 2 SPOs, as many other journalists have been. But we did not know of any immediate threat or any news of any militant organization or any other body openly threatening him. So, we did not even have this in mind, that something like this will happen to Shujaat.
All right, Mr. Pandita, many thanks for joining us on the show and sharing your thoughts at what I can only assume is a very difficult moment for you, having just heard that a colleague and a friend has been lost to the journalistic community one more time. From what we understand, he was a moderate and a balanced journalist. And it is a terrible pity that we have lost another colleague. We also have Pradeep Datta, my colleague from Jammu, who joins me right now. Pradeep, what can you tell us about the nature of the stories that Mr. Bukhari had written, or any reason why anyone would want to target him in this horrific manner?
See, all I can say, this is really very unfortunate incident. In fact, whole media fraternity all over the country is shaken because of this incident. Shujaat Bukhari was coming out from his office in Press Enclave, and that was the time when terrorists opened fire. His 2 security force personnel were also critically injured in this incident. And this has been the second attack on Shujaat Bukhari. In 2000 also he was attacked by terrorists, and after that he was provided security. All I can say that it's not really easy working in a conflict zone like Jammu and Kashmir, where uncertainty is the only certainty, and it's like walking on the razor edge for journalists, because every time you have to prove a point that if you are trying to take another side, one party will get angry. Because Kashmir, what I say is a story of several truths sandwiched between layers of lies, or it is a story of lies being projected as a gospel truth. So being very neutral in such an atmosphere, it really becomes very difficult, because when I say the breaking news in other parts of the country, something which is really new. But when it comes to Jammu and Kashmir, here the breaking news means that everybody is knowing, but you should have the guts to either publish or broadcast that news and speak the reality and speak hard, and that becomes a breaking news here in this
Second, forgive me for interrupting you, Pradeep.
Shujaat Bukhari, I know him personally. He had been, in fact, working
Right. We have on the phone line. Right now SP Vaid, the DGP Srinagar, who joins us at this point. Mr. Vaid, many thanks for joining us and giving us your time. Could you give us any information on who these assailants may have been, or why this journalist was under threat at all, and who would have wanted to hurt him in this manner?
That is too early to say. It will all come out during the investigation, but the details which I am getting from this Srinagar is around 7:15 at near the time of Iftar. I think these terrorists had chosen this time when Mr. Bukhari was coming out with his PSOs from his office and boarding his vehicles. These 3 motorcycle-borne terrorists came and opened fire on him and his PSOs. So he unfortunately succumbed to his injuries, and one of his PSOs is also no more. The other PSO is under treatment in the hospital.
Mr. Vaid, I do realize that it's very early right now to have any information, but have your colleagues from Srinagar told you if they have any sort of video footage or eyewitnesses or anything that can lead them to the killers?
Let's see. We will have all this examined during investigation. I'm actually out of Valley at the moment.
All right, SP Vaid, the DGP of Jammu and Kashmir, being very kind to join us on the phone line right now, confirming that shooting took place just around the time of Iftar. Unfortunately, a day or two before Eid.